So let's talk a little bit about gadgets and gear. Holsters, tactical flashlights, laser aiming devices, red dots, gun safe, and proper storage. So let's get into a little bit about holsters. Holsters are crucially important. I can't stress enough how important holsters are. Anything that does not have a trigger guard cover on it is not considered a holster. It may hold your pistol, but it's not a holster. Always make sure that you're getting something that has a trigger guard, something that is covering that trigger so that you don't have an accidental discharge reaching in for that gun. One of the main things with holsters is they're kind of like shoes. How many different pairs of shoes do you have? And I'm not just talking to the ladies out there. I'm talking to all of us. Chances are you got a pair of work boots, you got a pair of hiking boots, you might have a pair of flip-flops, you got a pair of tennis shoes, and you probably have some to just strictly go running in. Not to mention all the dress shoes that go along with your work attire. Holsters are kind of the same way. Whatever the situation is dictating is going to dictate as to what shoes you wear. Are you going to wear your cowboy boots down to the sand at the beach? Probably not. You want to wear your flip-flops. But on the flip side to it, am I going to want to wear my flip-flops to go horseback riding? Might want to, but you're probably better off wearing your cowboy boots to do that. You guys that are out there on the work site, are you going to want to wear a pair of flimsy little running shoes? Probably not. You're going to want to wear yourself a good pair of work boots to go work in all day. You got to protect yourself. The same thing goes with your holsters. There are lots of different types of holsters. There's lots of different types of situations that dictate a different type of holster. And it's vitally important that you have a couple of different alternatives to be able to continue carrying. Just because you don't have a holster that doesn't work with the attire in the situation that you're in, doesn't mean you should leave your gun at home. It means you need to get on to Amazon or some of the other gun sites and start looking for a good quality holster. Why are holsters important? Well, let's take a look at a couple of videos here.
Kentucky police officers out of the hospital and recovering this morning after shooting himself in an elevator by accident.
He shot himself by accident because he didn't have a holster. Why are you carrying a gun around loose in your pocket to begin with? This man's a police officer. How many hours of training has he gone through with his firearm to just loosely walk around with it? Like I said, we pick on the cops a lot in this class because we get complacent and we think that we know everything. So what happened in this incident? Well, as you can see, for whatever reason, he was holding on to a box of donuts, which is probably one of the biggest crimes, is that he dropped a box of donuts. What kind of police officer drops a box of donuts? But the second thing is, he didn't have his gun in his holster. He pulls it out of his pocket, and then he's trying to fiddle around while he's trying to put it into his jacket pocket. Once you have a holster, you put it in a holster, and you leave it there in your holster. You don't need to be changing places around in a loose pocket. God forbid, you have something like your keys in your pocket, and that gets caught up into that trigger guard. And you reach in there, try to pull your pistol out, and when your keys get caught up, and now it renders your firearm useless. Or worse, it discharges your gun because the keys wound up depressing the trigger on you and shoot yourself. Put it in a holster, keep it safe, and then that way you're going to eliminate a lot of these problems. What kind of danger did he put his wife in? He's not only himself, but put his wife in. Could have very easily accidentally ricocheted and shot her instead of himself. Please, get yourself a holster. They make all kinds of holsters for all kinds of situations. Let's watch another video.
Kentucky police officers out of the
Now to that alarming video of an off-duty FBI agent whose gun went off, injuring one person while he was showing off his moves on the dance floor. ABC's Clayton Sandell has the story.
This morning,
It wasn't clear if there was alcohol involved. I'm sorry, people do not dance like that unless there's alcohol involved. And tell me, Mr. FBI agent, what are you doing carrying your firearm in a drinking setting? We do not carry our firearms and drink. This is a modern day, we're older adults, we're not drinking and carrying our gun. This man was an FBI agent. He'd had a lot of training with that firearm. You don't get through the FBI Academy without doing a couple hundred hours of firearms training. Yet, here he is, violating the law. Nobody is above the law, as the guy on the video just got done telling you. The other thing is, he makes a pretty good living working for the FBI. Why didn't he buy a holster that actually had decent retention to it? You want a holster that has decent retention. This holster is a cheap Amazon buy holster. It was less than $20. That pistol is not coming out of that holster. It has a little retention. If you listen closely, you'll hear it click. It has retention, and it's holding that pistol in its place, and it's not coming out very easily. Now, even when I was a much younger and prettier man, there was a very, very rare chance you're going to see me trying to do a backflip, let alone successfully pull one off while wearing a gun. Another thing I want to point out is that when that agent decided to pick his gun up, where did his finger go when he picked that gun up? His finger went right onto that trigger. Never put your finger on the trigger until you're ready to shoot. One of the basics of gun safety. And he failed to follow that. Then he, unfortunately, discharged his firearm, striking an innocent civilian while in a nightclub drinking. So many things wrong with this one. They also said in the video there wasn't sure if there was disciplinary action or if he lost his job. To the best of my knowledge, from what I have heard, he lost his job. Because you can't be doing stuff like that. You have to have a decent holster. Like I said, cheap $20 Amazon holster, and it's not coming out. You need to make sure that you get yourself a good quality holster that's got good retention to it, so that if you are in the world's most dangerous parking lot and you trip over a parking block, you're not going to have your gun take off flying away from you out of your holster. You want it to be secured. We talked earlier about who is an unauthorized person. Anybody but you, right? Well, if you fall down and your gun comes out of your control, who now has access to it? Anybody but you. Can't be letting your firearm get out of your control. Crucially important to make sure you have a good holster.
Now to that.
There's lots of different types of holsters out there. And like I said, dictating the situation that you're in is going to dictate the different types of holster that you would carry. You have the belly band holster. You have the outside the waistband holster. You have the inside the waistband holster. You have this style of holster that looks like a wallet in the back pocket. From the outside, the normal person just sees what looks like a wallet. But the holster is big enough to be able to hide the entire detail of the pistol itself. And you have the holster that comes out of your back pocket. Belly band holsters are great for certain situations. You like to go jogging, you like to take a run, but you don't want to have your gun flopping around in a pair of running shorts. Put that belly band on. Put your pistol in the belly band. They make underwear that have holsters built into them now that you can place it in, and it's held securely in the underwear. Put your running shorts on, take off running. You're good to go. There's lots of different ways. My partner Jeff, he likes to go to the rodeo. When he does, he's tucking in his shirt, wearing Western attire. Well, when you tuck your shirt in, it makes it kind of hard to hide your pistol on your hip. So what he does, he'll wear the belly band up around his chest and slide it slightly sideways to where it fits up here. He can now put on his Western shirt, tuck his shirt in, and leave one of his buttons unbuttoned so that if he needs to reach in and access it, it's there. And you'd never even know that he's got it on. The women folk have a little harder time keeping their pistol on their person and being able to conceal it. They have a tendency of wearing a lot more form-fitting clothing attire than what us guys do. Most of us guys, we're simple. Pair of baggy shorts or a pair of baggy pants, old shirt flowing out from over it, maybe even throw on an old flannel shirt, out the door we go. Ladies have a lot better fashion sense than we do. If you think I'm lying, go ask your other half. She'll tell you I'm not. When it comes to female attire, there are just as many different options out there, and they're growing more and more and more every day. My wife actually has this product right here. The company name is Bulldog. And it looks like a PDA case that fits right there on her belt, outside her clothing, on the outside. Yet, it's still concealed, isn't it? Belly bands. There's a company called Girls with Guns. They make beautiful corset-style belly band holsters for ladies. In the back, it's all laced up with the pretty colored laces, looks like a corset. Quite fashionable. But then it also has the holster sewn into it. Some of the compression shirts tucked right in, wear the blouse over the top, you're still good to go. This particular choice, the manufacturer, appropriately enough, decided to call that product the Flashbang. When it comes to a life and death situation, modesty needs to go out the window. And I don't care who you are. If you pull your shirt up, ladies, doesn't matter who you are, all the men are going to go, whoa. And it's going to give you that half a second. If it gives you that half a second to be able to take your shot and get yourself to safety, then by all means, modesty goes out the window. Thus the term flashbang. Cute play on words. Person bag holsters. I'm not a fan of the person bag myself. You do you. I'm not saying that there is the way. I'm just saying there's a way. But from my experience and my personal point of view, carrying your gun in a bag or a purse tends to leave room for potential threat in its own. If you're in the world's most dangerous parking lot and you're walking down the aisle with your purse on, if the bad guys are out there, what's the target they're going for? Probably going to go for the purse. And then you find yourself in a back and forth over the purse. Where's your gun? How are you going to get to your gun if you're fighting for it back and forth? You go to get into the car. Ladies, how many times have you gotten into the car and thrown your purse into the seat next to you? Can I see a show of hands? There's a lot of hands. Then you step on the brake because some little kid goes by on one of those electric scooters and now your purse hits the floorboard. By California law, they define it as having control of your firearm at all times. If you cannot reach the firearm, you are not in control of the firearm. You're technically violating the law. So once that purse hits the floorboard, you're actually violating the law because the gun is no longer in your reach or your possession or control. When it comes to the bags, and they've become a lot more popular, and I've seen a few other designs out there that kind of eliminate it, but back in the 1980s, all the cops used to wear fanny packs because everybody else was wearing fanny packs too, and they had the fanny pack holster. But the problem with the fanny pack holster and some of these new bags that you wear across your chest and stuff like that, you have to unzip them to be able to access your firearm. Having to work a zipper is what we call fine motor skills. Anytime you're in a stressful situation, fine motor skills go right out the window. And gross motor skills are what take over. Now, yes, I have seen some of these bags that you can grab and open up. But the problem with it is that if you can grab it and open up, what if the bad guy grabs it to open it up? You've now exposed your firearm, and now you're in a tussle over your own firearm strapped to you. Back to the zipper and the fine motor skills. How many times have you found yourself drinking that big old double big gulp, and then you decide you got home and you have to try and find a way to get rid of that big gulp, and you ever have to wrestle with your zipper when you're having to try and get rid of the big gulp in a hurry? It's not very smooth and easy, is it? Fine motor skills go out the window, don't they? Well, the same thing goes trying to get that zipper done to get your gun out of your purse. I'm not saying that you can't do it. I'm not saying certain people haven't practiced to be able to do it efficiently. Just my humble opinion, bags I would try and stay away from. I would much rather have my firearm on my person. There's lots of different holster manufacturers out there and lots of different ways to be able to carry. For those of you that are on Facebook, ladies, there is a gal on there, I believe her name is Adeline May, and you can look her up on Facebook. She has got some amazing female holster ideas. Check her out because she does some really good stuff. Surprised the heck out of me. I made a career in law enforcement. I got pretty good at being able to look to see if somebody's obviously carrying a gun. Miss May has some videos that took me by surprise, and I had no idea she was carrying a gun till it was too late. So research the different types of holsters out there. Look for the different holsters. Buy a quality holster. Don't buy something that's just cheap and not have retention so that if you decide to fall down, your gun doesn't go sliding across the world's most dangerous parking lot. Get something that's got some good retention to it. Get something that you can keep on your person. Lots of different ways to conceal a firearm. You just need to do the research and find out what works best for you. Obviously, not everybody has the same body shape as what's depicted on the pictures. Trust me, I know. But they make all these different holsters that fit all these different types of body shapes. Find one that works for you. Get a good holster, get one with good retention, and carry it in a holster every day. The last thing I'd want to see people doing is just willy-nilly throwing a gun in their pocket without a holster. Once again, you got your keys, God forbid that nickel gets caught in between the trigger and now renders your gun completely useless. Get a holster that has good retention and covers up that trigger guard. Like I said, lots of types of carry. Inside the waistband, outside the waistband, shoulder holsters. How many remember the old 70s detective shows where it shows the cops wearing their shoulder holsters? Well, that's great if you wear your sport coat all day. But if you're not wearing your sport coat or you're hot and you want to take it off, your holster kind of exposes itself and you're no longer carrying concealed, are you? The other thing is that let's remember, what was rule number 2 of the gun safety? Never point your gun at anything you're not willing to kill and or destroy. And if you're walking down the street with your shoulder holster, who are you pointing your gun at? Everybody else down the street. Now I'm going to say something that could be considered a little controversial, but I'm just trying to bring the point home. Appendix carry, widely accepted. Lots of people do it. Lots of people do it very safely. Some people have a build that requires that that's about the only place that they can carry it. But once again, what was rule number 2? Never point your gun at anything you're not willing to kill and or destroy. You do you, boo. I'm going to stick with my good old 3 or 9 o'clock approach. But like I said, it's not the way, it's just a way. As long as you're doing it safely, you do it safely and do what works best for you. Ankle holsters. Ankle holsters are great for somebody under 30 years old who are able to drop down onto one knee relatively quickly and pull their pan up to be able to get to that gun. Once you get over 30 and your body starts sounding like a bowl of Rice Krispies and the snap, crackle, pop just to get down on one knee doesn't really lend to the speed and efficiency to draw from an ankle holster. We talked about the fanny packs. We talked about the handbags. Talked about the belly bands. The good old small of the back, Magnum PI. How many remember the old Magnum PI? Tucking that 1911 right there in the back. What was rule number 2 again? Never point your gun at anything you're not willing to kill and or destroy. But lots of people carry it in their 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 7 o'clock position. Once again, not the way, just a way. If that's what works for you and you can do it safely, do it. Carry an extra magazine. We just went over that. Carry an extra magazine, an extra speed loader if you're shooting a revolver. And if at all possible, carry yourself a pocket tactical flashlight. Because believe it or not, in a dim setting, a low light setting, that flashlight could be the difference of getting out of a bad situation to begin with. It could be used as a non-lethal use of force. You get some of those really bright flashlights, could be used as a non-lethal use of force. You get some of those really good bright flashlights that go into a strobe mode, you can temporarily disorient your attacker enough to be able to get out of the way and get yourself out of that situation, get yourself to create some distance, get yourself to a point of cover, all kinds of different things on being able to carry the flashlights. They're making flashlights this small now that are super bright, 10 million candle power with a strobe. I may be exaggerating, but they are making very bright flashlights, very small, very easy to conceal. They're an excellent tool for non-lethal use of force. They're an excellent tool for distraction. They're an excellent tool that when you're on the side of the road and you got a flat tire and you just happen to need a flashlight to see what's going on. Carrying a pocket flashlight, one of the best things that you can carry on your EDC, your everyday carry. Take my phone, take my keys, take my wallet, take my flashlight, take my gun, take my extra magazine. Everyday carry stuff that goes on you all the time. Flashlights are a great tool for that. The tactical flashlights, 1,000,001 different probable uses for them that turn into it. There's different ways to hold the flashlight. You can hold your flashlight with your support fingers as you're utilizing your firearm. You can do the old FBI trick where you're holding the flashlight out here. You can have a rail-mounted flashlight on the end of your weapon. Just remember that when you're just using your firearm or your flashlight to see, you're still muzzling whatever it is you're trying to see. I'm not saying that you can't do it. You just got to be aware of what you're pointing your pistol at because you're using it as a flashlight. Flashlights are great to have. Laser aiming devices. How many times have you gone to the range and you're getting ready to shoot and the guy next to you has got that little red laser dot bouncing around on his target out there? Lasers can be very useful tools in the proper setting. Proper application for the tool, just like anything else. I'm not going to use a hammer as a screwdriver. I'm not going to try and use a screwdriver as a hammer, although most of us guys probably have, and it didn't really work out too well for us, but we did it anyway. In a high daylight situation, your laser might be useless and may not work well. In a low light situation, it may work great. So there is no perfect tool. It's just the proper application of the tool. One of the other things that has become very popular and has been proven to be an excellent tool in aiding in speeding up your getting on target is the red dots. The red dot systems are becoming more and more popular every day. And if you can train with a red dot, they have been proven to be much quicker and much faster to get up on target with than just your regular old iron sights. Unless you're an old guy like me who's had iron sights driven into them, front sight, front sight, front sight, and I'll look right through that glass for the front sight and not be able to find the dot. I'm sure if I practiced with it enough, I could probably get there. Just hard to break old habits. I did have somebody recommend to me, why don't you adjust the red dot to the front sight? And I went, that's a brilliant idea. Might be trying that sometime at the range here pretty soon. You never know. Maybe we'll do a tips and drills on the range with the red dots. You tell us what you want to see and we'll try and produce something that you guys want to watch. Do your research. Learn what types of red dots that there are. There are some that are holograms. There are some that are a projection. There are some that are battery operated. There's ups and downs of all of them. But you need to do the homework yourself, educate yourself, get the proper training, get a certified instructor who is teaching red dot training, and have them teach you how to use it correctly. DOJ approved storage. California Department of Justice just passed the law here in California this last January 2026 that unless the firearm is within your control and on your person, it must be locked up. It used to be if you had somebody under 18 in the house that you could not leave your firearm unattended and it had to be locked up. Well, our wonderful California governor decided to help pass this law and saying that all firearms have to be locked up now. Doesn't matter if there's a kid in the house or not. You can't, the days of just leaving it in your nightstand next to the bed, long gone. You are in violation of the law if you're still doing that. By law, it's got to be locked up. So it does make it very difficult. Don't let the anti-gun people and the gun grabbers out there fool you into thinking that they're dumb, because they're not. They're very, very intelligent, and they're very crafty at being able to craft and draft laws that make it almost impossible for you to exercise your Second Amendment rights. This is a prime example of it, that you can't just leave it in your nightstand. It's got to be officially locked up by an approved DOJ storage. So what is? Well, you have lock boxes, you have trigger locks, you have the good old-fashioned gun safe, you have the through the barrel and through the action of a semi-automatic gun cable lock, and then you have the traditional big old gun safe. I'll tell you, most of us, and I say most of us guys, bigger is better. We all like to have the big gun safe, don't we? Get yourself a gun safe for whatever reason. Stay in compliance with the law as best as you can. Help yourself before you find yourself in a predicament. Cleaning and maintenance. I can't tell you how many times I have, at the end of the day, want to disarm myself, and I went and cleared my firearm, and I looked in there and I saw belly button lint inside my firearm. How does belly button lint get inside a firearm that is locked, chamber closed, in a holster, on my person, but it still winds up with the freaking belly button lint inside the chamber? Don't know how it happens, but it does. Main idea is you got to keep your firearms clean. Check those things every once in a while. Nothing more embarrassing than to get around a couple of gun guys and one of them says, "Let me see that." And you go and open it up and clear it, and you go to hand it to him for him to inspect to make sure it's clear, and he goes, "Ooh, pretty dirty." It's embarrassing. Cleaning and maintenance is excruciatingly important, especially on a tool that you are planning to protect your life and your family's life with. The last thing you want to do is thinking that gun's going to work, and because you failed to maintain or clean it, it's not going to work properly. So, much like I said before, we live up here in the mountains. We have winter tires that have studs on them so we can drive in the snow. But when summer comes around, the law says you can't drive around on studded tires all the time. So we have to put the summer tires on. How many of you have gone to the old Jiffy Lube, got your oil changed, got your filters changed? You have to do the maintenance on the car. Same thing goes with your gun. You got to do the cleaning and the maintenance on the gun. When you're doing it, make sure you clear that weapon in a completely separate room from where you're doing your gun cleaning. We've talked about it earlier, how many people thought that they had completely emptied that pistol and shot themselves while cleaning their gun. I can't tell you how common that story is. So I told you, I'm a former peace officer. I was also a former volunteer firefighter. I was at the house. I had my, at the time, 6-year-old grandson with me. And the pager goes off. Beep, beep, beep. Gunshot victim. We'll meet you at the fire department. And I went, oh no. Well, it's a volunteer department. I figured somebody else was going to come along here pretty soon because I'm stuck here with my 6-year-old grandson. A few minutes later, it goes beep, beep, beep. Second page. Gunshot victim. We'll meet you at the fire station. And I went, nobody else is coming. Come on, boy. Get in the truck. So we got in the truck. We get to the fire station. Here stands this guy, got a white t-shirt wrapped around his hand, just covered in blood. Why does everybody grab a white t-shirt? I don't know. But it's just leaking out his t-shirt here that he's got his hand wrapped into. I tell my grandson, stay in the truck. Don't get out of the truck. Okay. I go up and I address the patient and I see what's going on here, and yeah, sure enough, there's a nice 45 caliber hole straight through, looking at the sunset right through his hand, because he was cleaning his gun and it was empty, and he shot himself anyway. Obviously it wasn't empty. It's common, people do that. Next thing I know, I see something out of the corner of my eye. Here's the 6-year-old grandson peeking around the front of the truck. Get back in that truck. He gets in the truck. Medics get there. We get him handled. We get him packaged, and off to the hospital he goes. I go back to the truck. I go to get in. And I ask the grandson, why'd you get out of the truck? Wanted to see, Grandpa. What'd you see? Grandpa, he didn't keep the mouse out of the house. It was hard for me to get upset at that point, because now my 6-year-old grandson made me proud, remembering, keep the mouse out of the house. And my 6-year-old grandson understood he didn't keep the mouse out of the house. Never put your finger on the trigger till you're ready to shoot. Squirrel, side note, fun little story. The whole point behind it is a lot of people will wind up accidentally shooting themselves cleaning your gun. Make sure that you are clearing that gun in a completely separate room, keeping that ammunition in a separate room prior to going into the other room with an empty firearm before you start to clean it. But you got to clean them. Keep them clean. A lot of people will tell you wearing latex gloves while you're cleaning helps reduce the risk of lead exposure. And it's true. If you can clean your gun and still do it with those latex gloves on, by all means, keep that stinky, oily stuff off of your hands. I personally like the smell of Hoppy's No. 9 myself, but other people don't. Keeps the oil off your hands, keeps the lead from getting exposed. When you take your gun apart to clean it, do it the proper way. Follow the instructions from the manufacturer on how to field strip or disassemble your firearm prior to cleaning. Using a bore brush, bore snake to clean that barrel and that muzzle is a great alternative. Some people say use a soft brush, don't use the wire brushes. Use more like a old toothbrush, something of that nature to help clean it all out, using that solvent and stuff to break down all of the different deposits and all of that burnt powder and stuff that's caked on there. And clean your pistol every time that you use it. When you go to the range and you run 500 rounds through your pistol, when you come home, clean that thing before you put it away. The longer you let it sit, the harder those deposits are going to adhere to the metal, and the harder it makes it to clean. It's the easiest time to clean that stuff off is fresh when it's just got done shooting it. You let it sit for a couple of days, it's going to take you a lot longer to learn to clean your pistol because you let it sit rather than doing it right when it was fresh. If you don't know how to disassemble your pistol, or you don't know how to properly clean your pistol, call a certified instructor. We'll be happy to come and show you. We'll be happy to bring you down to the range, and we'll show you how to disassemble it right there. We'll show you how to clean it right there. It's a vital component to being a responsible gun owner, is to learning how to properly clean your pistol. And learn how to reassemble it. Learn how to lube it correctly. And then learn how to store it correctly as well, and legally. Revolvers are a little bit different than the semi-automatics, but it's still the same principles. You're running a brush through it, you're using the solvents, you're oiling it, you're putting it back in, you're wiping it all back down again, keeping it oiled, keeping it lubed, and keeping it clean.